Alright, these are a couple of quick examples where we're going to use the different types of congruents, okay? The question asks, are these triangles congruent? Yes or no? And if so, how? Alright, the first example here, if we look, we have the sides all marked off. And these sides correspond with each other and are congruent. Those sides correspond, and the inside two sides correspond. So since we have all three pairs of sides that match up and correspond with in each triangle, this is a yes. They are congruent. And they're congruent if we look, we have a side, and a third side. So they'd be congruent by SSS, side, side, side congruence. Okay? That's what your homework's going to be similar to. You're going to have to tell me yes or no, are they congruent, and if they are, how? Example 2. Example 2 is a little different. If we look, we already have two pairs of sides marked off. We have these two sides and these two sides. So we have SS. That narrows it down. Okay? That narrows that. It tells us that it can't be ASA or AAS. The reason is those both only have one pair of sides in them. Okay? So it splits all choices down by a few. We have 5 total to begin with. We know these aren't right triangles, so it couldn't be HL either. So really we only have 2 choices left, side, 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 and side, angle, side. Now, it cannot be side, side, side because the third side isn't marked, and you can't mark it. You can't add that to the picture. You can add to the picture vertical angles, though. If we look, we have that X shape, and we know that these two angles are vertical angles, which means they're congruent. We can add that. Again, you cannot add the sides, but you can add vertical angles. That is okay to add to the picture, and you will have to do that. So keep that in mind. Vertical angles, you can add those. So now we have the 2 pairs of sides and the angles, and that angle is where the 2 sides meet. Okay, it's where the first mark and the second hash mark, that's where they meet. So yes, these are congruent. And they're congruent by side, angle, side, because that angle is where our 2 sides meet. Now, if it were a different angle, then it may not be congruent. But in this case, it is, because that angle is where the sides meet. Let's look at our third example. In our third example, we have 2 pairs of angles. We have these 2 angles up here at the top, and these 2 angles down here at the bottom that are already marked. That narrows it down like it did in example 2, because we know we have to have something with 2 pairs of angles in it. That tells us it cannot be side, 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 and it cannot be side, angle, side, because those have 2 pairs of sides and 1 angle, or no angles at all. Okay? So that narrows it down. It has to either be angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. Now this picture has something that you can add also, just like vertical angles. They share a side. If we look at our 2 triangles, they have this side down the middle in common. So we could mark that. Both triangles share it, so it's congruent to itself. Okay, that's the reflexive property. It's congruent to itself. So now that we have an angle, and then a side and another angle, if we look that side is shared, it touches both angles. It touches this angle here and the double marked one down here at the bottom. So that tells us it's angle, side, angle, and it's not AAS, because if it were angle, angle, side, the side would only touch one of the angles. Here it touches both. Okay? So yes, this is congruent, and it's angle, side, angle. Now I specifically picked examples 2 and 3 to show you because you will have to mark vertical angles, and if they share a side, a whole side, it has to be the whole thing, can't just be part of it, has to be the whole side, then you need to mark that in the picture also. Those are 2 things that you can add to the picture. Anything else, you have to go off what they give you. You can't add new information unless it's vertical angles or they share the side. Okay? So those are some examples. This is what you'll be doing in class. So if you have any questions, either re-watch the short videos on whichever ones you have questions on, whichever type of congruence, or bring them to class next time.